All right, Tulsi Kratz, Bernie Kratz, Free Radicals, Disaffected People, Green Party, who else? I don't know. Stray Libertarian or two. My name is Dave, and welcome back. This is The Radical Independent. Thanks again for those of you subscribing to this channel, also supporting me via PayPal and over on Patreon. It is very much appreciated, more than you will ever know. It allows me to kind of do this full-time along with my music-based channel, which I guess if you're into old classic rock, you can check that out as well. You go over to Patreon and you'll see all of my stuff on the other channel. On this channel, though, today we're going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard being the ultimate spoiler. All right, at the very least. Now think this through, okay? I'm not dismissing Tulsi as the Democratic Party nominee. We know that this is going to be a tough road for her. She's still in it, and she could use Elizabeth Warren as a trampoline. All right, I'm sorry for that. I know that the imagery there might not be good, especially with this picture of Elizabeth Warren. Anyway, this is from Politico, and I've got to read this. It's painful. A new survey shows Elizabeth Warren, it's a national survey, by the way, it shows Warren now sitting atop the 2020 Democratic field. This is a national poll, further cementing her ascendancy in the party's presidential primary after a pair of polls reported her leading in the first two primary states. 27% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents polled by Quinnipiac University said they favor Warren. According to a survey released Wednesday morning, 25% said they prefer former Vice President Joe Biden. Amazing. Bernie is not second. He apparently is in third. Oh, by the way, here's a conveniently placed ad. I typically don't mention this. Grab a beer with Elizabeth Warren, or coffee, or tea, or whatever. Aha. Man, if she's the nominee, the kind of makeover that she's going to need, and I'm not talking about a physical makeover, I'm talking about, well, there may need to be a physical makeover as well, but that is, I'm sorry, is that ageist? Is it sexist? I'm just saying, again, she's a 70-year-old woman, all right? Hillary was, what, 68, I think, when she ran? I think she's over 70 now, or I don't know. The bottom line, and I know Bernie is older, Dave. Okay, I get it. Bernie isn't, he's not a looker either, okay? So, but policy-wise, I'll take the grumpy old man versus the elitist old woman any day of the week. I don't think elitist when I think Bernie. I have my problems with Bernie, but this is why, bottom line, I'm a Tulsi Gabbard supporter. Now, as we know, Tulsi Gabbard is in the next debate, which is, I'm sure, absolutely gotten the DNC in a bunch. Their panties are now in a bunch. Sorry to use that expression. I'm really not doing well today with the metaphors. So, not one of my strongest videos, being diplomatic. In any event, although the Massachusetts senator's edge falls within the survey's margin of error, and notice how Politico just runs with it, Biden's formidable lead over the rest of the field has crumbled since the last Quinnipiac national poll in August showed him with 32%, Warren just 19%. Amazing what the media can do for you. What can brown do for you? Brown is also the color of another substance, so put it together. I know it's a UPS tagline. The bottom line, again with this, Tulsi Gabbard is in. I think the DNC is going to try to keep Tulsi Gabbard away from Elizabeth Warren. There's a rumor and I know you guys probably already know this because you're probably more researched than I am, that they're going to be 2 nights now because you got 12 candidates who have qualified, all right, which is a dilemma for the DNC because they're trying to shrink this down so they can get Warren isolated with Biden and maybe Sanders. By the way, that's interesting because Warren is pretending to be a progressive. So in a sense, the progressive message is resonating, but as Tim Black pointed out in a really good video that I just watched, you got to be really suspicious of the corporatocracy if they're getting maybe a dog whistle from Elizabeth Warren. Hey, this is just for the... And this is the typical political maneuvering, It's the primaries where you can be all radical and you can pander to certain groups, and then you've got to move to the center, and you will see the most amazing transformation of Elizabeth Warren when we get to the general election. See, with Bernie and Tulsi, they won't change who they are. They'll be who they are. They believe in the things that... Bernie Sanders, it dates back to like when he was, mayor of Burlington, Vermont. You can watch what he said back then, and he's saying the same stuff now. And he was 20, 30 years ahead of the curve. So, Tulsi Gabbard gets on stage, and I think if I know the DNC, they're going to try to keep them on different nights because they do not want a repeat of what Tulsi did to Kamala Harris. They do not want to see that because Kamala was one of their special candidates. You know what I mean? She met all the criteria when it came to identity politics. She was very centrist. She was very corporatist. Corporate donors can love on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, I will say this, is she's going to appeal to minorities way more than Elizabeth Warren. But hey, Elizabeth Warren, leading in national polls, I guess, they're calling a lot of white, liberal, kind of Ivy League, elitist type people. They're not calling working class people because the working class all support Bernie and Tulsi. And those are really the only 2 candidates running that are for the working class. You have to go over to the Green Party to get another candidate that believes in helping the working class. And some people think Trump, although Trump just blew a lot of smoke up a certain orifice to get where he got to. So, Tulsi Gabbard, if she has the opportunity, could do to Elizabeth Warren what she did to Kamala Harris. And I have a feeling that might be one of the scenarios that the Gabbard campaign is working out. For 2 reasons. One, it would save the country from Elizabeth Warren. Regardless of where Tulsi ends up. Doesn't matter if she becomes the president. Doesn't matter if her candidacy stalls out somewhere or she gets to the convention and gives all her delegates to Bernie Sanders. It doesn't matter. She would be doing a service to the country. Much like Chris Christie thought he was doing a service to the country when he took out little Marco Rubio in the Republican primaries, 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Very similar, except this one is far more important because Elizabeth Warren dresses up like a progressive, but she will govern much like, should I even say this out loud? She probably will govern like Donald Trump, except she will speak to all the groups. She will be a tribalist. She will talk wedge issues all day long. And she'll change the tone. But I've heard her speak, and when she gets riled up, she's... I can't understand why the DNC would do this again. This is just, to me, it's so much like Hillary Clinton. It's a healthier Hillary Clinton. That's all this is. I mean, I'm going to have a beer? Really? I mean, Hillary Clinton, I will say this. Hillary Clinton had a reputation, by the way, of really drinking. I don't know if she drank beer, But she has this reputation that she likes to drink. Elizabeth Warren, and I'm not saying you've got to be a drinker in order to be the president, but if you're going to do this stuff, you kind of have to look natural at it, and that whole, that thing from New Year's, that thing has been played over and over again. I love the fact that her husband said, no, I don't want a beer. He's going to go grab a Chardonnay, so it's just ridiculous. I got to say this, Tulsi Gabbard, this would be a hanging curveball. They talk anything to do with military budgets or foreign policy or her opinion on big money in politics, unilateral disarmament. Will anyone ask Elizabeth Warren, will any reporter ask her about unilateral disarmament when it comes to fundraising? Which means basically, if you didn't pick up on that, Elizabeth Warren says, hey, during the primaries, it's just small donations, even though she's using PAC money from her Senate campaign left over that I'm sure she sandbagged and put away. I mean, her television ad buys are going out all over the place now. So she knew going in that she would have a war chest. And she could say, oh, I'm not taking money in the primaries from big donors, but yet she keeps meeting with big donors. In fact, she's meeting with Wall Street big donors. Okay? You won't see Bernie or Tulsi doing that. But what, again, Elizabeth Warren is going to do is speak like she's against Wall Street, but then cozy up to Wall Street. Because we're seeing it. It's not just a theory. We're actually seeing it. So Tulsi Gabbard could make history, and by the way, she could save the country from another center-left, blank check corporatist who will meet with military generals and tell them, you do whatever you need to do. I just want to make, can we make the army a little more green? Can we make the military more green? When we drop a bomb, can it be more efficient? That's about it. Can we lower the carbon footprint? We know the military, by the way, if you're serious about the climate change stuff, the military is one of the big carbon emitters on the planet. And our military is everywhere. What is it, like 800 bases? I don't even know how many bases we have. I hear different numbers all the time, but we're all over the world. And what do? We emit carbon because we're blowing crap up and we're doing all kinds of maneuvers, and these vehicles aren't, they're not solar-powered tanks, So, and I know there are other things that we're running. It's not just tanks, but the point is, she would be very comfortable in that position. People think Mike Pence is a scary dude, and he is. He's a scary dude. You know why? He's not scary because of all the LGBT stuff. Although if you're, LGBT, you're not liking Mike Pence for obvious reasons. But I think Mike Pence and Elizabeth Warren could sit down and have a conversation about what our military ought to be doing. And they would agree. Most of the time, they would agree. So, Tulsi Gabbard represents, I'll use this word like the climate change, an existential threat to the Democratic Party right now. And if she stays around for too much longer, they will have to figure out how to deal with her. I know a lot of us who think, oh, democracy. Oh, we've still got democracy here in the United States. Tulsi's in the debate. Take this like you would a grain of salt. This is a good thing that her voice is going to be heard. And it's her being there is much like throwing a Molotov cocktail onto the stage. And I'm hoping that Tulsi uses her time effectively. And by the way, she can use it to take out Pete Buttigieg if they separate. I mean, she can do something to raise her name ID and get people talking about her and Googling again. Of course, her AdSense account might be shut down again. I don't know. But the bottom line is Tulsi Gabbard is in a great position to take out Warren or any other establishment candidate. My guess is if the DNC is as shady as I think they are, there's no way Warren and Gabbard are both going to be on the same debate stage, if they can help it. if they can help it. So that's my video. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you'd like to subscribe, please do so. Also, support on Patreon and PayPal. I will put the PayPal email in there. I thanked a couple of folks yesterday who definitely came through and helped me out. I really appreciate that. You don't have to give your life savings. If you can spare a few bucks, or, you know, hey, if you're playing the Wall Street casino and you'd like that money to to go into a worthy cause, here it is, you know. And this channel will not be supporting Wall Street, unfortunately, but, you know, you can take some bad money and I can clean it up for you and make it into some worthy cause funding. So there you go. And I'm kind of just kidding there at the end. I'm sure there aren't too many of you who have big Wall Street investments and you're watching this, because we all know that Wall Street is really not for Main Street, to use a cliche that's often used in politics. Anyway, I'm Dave, and I'll be back soon. Talk to you later.